The Cold War cast a long, chilling shadow across the globe. Two superpowers, America and the Soviet Union, locked horns in a silent contest for dominance. The race for space was more than a quest for knowledge. It was a battle of wills, a clash of ideologies, and a matter of national pride. For the Soviets, the cosmos represented hope and glory. They stunned the world with Sputnik, then sent Yuri Gagarin into the stars, fueling a wave of patriotic fervor. Yet beneath the celebrations, the stakes were crushing. There was no room for failure. Triumphs were paraded for all to see. But setbacks? They were hidden, denied, erased. Some cosmonauts vanished from the record, forgotten by design. Among them was Ivan Volkov. The price of victory was often paid in silence. Ivan Volkov was the perfect Soviet hero, born to a simple family, a gifted pilot whose early fascination with the sky set him apart from his peers. He quickly became a natural choice for the first cosmonaut group, joining a brotherhood of pioneers who would shape history. Ivan was brave, disciplined, and fiercely patriotic, embodying the ideals the nation wanted to see in its champions. To the public, he was a living legend, a symbol of Soviet achievement, and the promise of a new era. He flew early Soyuz missions, set endurance records, and performed daring spacewalks that captured the world's imagination. Honors followed. His face was everywhere, on posters, in newspapers, and in the hearts of millions. Schoolchildren wrote essays about him, dreaming of following in his footsteps. But behind the medals and the parades, Ivan was different, more complex than the legend. He saw the cracks in the system, the truth bent to fit the narrative, and the reality hidden behind the propaganda. He carried memories of friends lost in training accidents, names never spoken in public, their sacrifices erased by secrecy. The silence troubled him deeply. He believed in the mission, but also in the truth, and struggled to reconcile the two. The pressure to be perfect weighed heavily, each mission adding to the burden. He wondered, if something went wrong, would his name be erased too, lost to history like so many before him? Ivan loved his family, found peace in simple things, but the shadow of fear never left him, even in moments of joy. He saw the political games, the risks no one admitted, and the decisions made far from the launch pad. The burden of silence grew heavier with each mission, each secret kept. Ivan was a hero to millions, but a prisoner to secrets, his true self hidden behind the mask of a national icon. He questioned what it meant to serve a cause that demanded so much, and gave so little in return, leaving him isolated. The cost of being a symbol was living with the fear of being forgotten, of becoming just another faded photograph, and that fear followed him into the stars, a silent companion on every journey beyond the Earth. By the late 70s, Ivan Volkov was a veteran. Many expected him to retire, but the Kremlin had one last mission, a secret flight to Almaz 3, an experimental military space station. The fate of the program rested on Ivan's shoulders. He saw the risks, new life support systems, complex docking, and his own aging body. His family begged him not to go, but duty, and fear of disgrace, left him no choice. Ivan was just a man, about to take one final giant leap. The engines roared and history was set in motion. The launch was flawless. Ivan and Sergei soared into orbit, leaving Earth behind. The view was breathtaking, no borders, just the blue and white of home. They docked with Almaz 3. Everything seemed routine, until the anomalies began. Flickering lights, faint scratching from the hull. One night Ivan saw a flash of light outside, moving in ways no satellite or meteor could. The radio crackled, then a voice, faint, distorted, in an unrecognizable language. It lasted seconds, then vanished. Sergei was terrified. Ivan had no answers. Ivan felt the isolation of space deepen. The silence was filled with whispers. Ivan Volkov returned to Earth a hero, again. The world cheered his name, banners waved, and the press hailed him as a symbol of Soviet triumph. But behind the applause, Ivan's eyes held a shadow. The mission was declared a triumph, the truth buried under layers of state secrecy. Official reports told only what the government wanted the world to hear. Ivan obeyed orders, but the secret gnawed at him, growing heavier with each passing year. He retired, tried to live quietly, but the whispers from space haunted his dreams. Every night he saw the stars and remembered what he could never say. Years later, old and frail, Ivan lay in a hospital bed, the weight of his secret pressing down on him. A young historian came, eager for tales of glory, hoping to record the legend of a national hero. Ivan waved him off. "That's the official story. You want the truth?" he asked, voice low and grave. He could not carry the secret to his grave. The burden was too great. "We were not alone up there," Ivan began, eyes distant, voice trembling with memory. He described the flash of light, the unnatural movement, the scratching, the voice, phenomena no training could prepare them for. It was a signal, a message from something else, something that watched us. But that wasn't the worst part. There was more, something darker. Before our mission, there was another. Zon 12. 3 cosmonauts sent to test Almaz before us. They never came back. Their names erased from history. The official story. Launch failure, a tragedy, but nothing more, or so they said. The truth. They reached the station. They made it, but something was waiting. The same phenomena, strange lights, voices, drove them to terror. They were overwhelmed by fear and confusion. Their last transmission was only screaming, then only silence. Ivan's voice trembled. "We weren't sent to test the station, we were sent as bait. We were expendable." The historian sat in stunned silence, unable to process the weight of what he'd heard. Ivan's confession was more than a secret. It was a warning, a plea not to repeat the mistakes of the past. The cost of silence was paid in lives. The fallen deserved to be remembered, not erased. And the truth at last was spoken. Ivan's soul felt lighter. Ivan's burden was finally shared. The secret no longer his alone. The story of Zon 12 would not be lost. The truth would live on, carried by those willing to listen. Ivan's revelation changed everything. In a single moment, the world he thought he knew was turned upside down. He and Sergei were sent as bait, expendable in a cosmic experiment. Their lives gambled for secrets that would never be told. The Soviet state was willing to sacrifice its own heroes for the sake of secrecy, hiding the truth behind layers of propaganda. Ivan lived with this knowledge, a poison he swallowed for decades, a burden that grew heavier with each passing year. He smiled at parades, accepted medals, but knew the truth behind the facade, the hollowness behind every cheer. The men who praised him had used him as a pawn, their applause echoing with betrayal. The betrayal was heavier than any G-force, pressing on his conscience day and night. Ivan's fear was not of space but of the system that demanded silence, a system that watched and waited. If he spoke, he'd disappear. His family would suffer, his name erased, his existence denied by the very country he served. So he built walls, became a stranger to those he loved, isolating himself to protect them. His wife saw the sadness, but he could never tell her. The truth was too dangerous to share. The secret was a prison, locking him away from the world and from himself. In his final confession, Ivan found release, letting go of the burden he had carried for so long. He spoke the names of the lost, Dmitry, Alexei, Victor, names erased from history but never from his memory. They deserved to be remembered, not as a failed launch but as explorers who met the unknown with courage. Ivan's confession was an act of redemption, a final attempt to set things right. He gave the lost their names back, restoring their place in the story of the stars, and in doing so, he reclaimed a piece of his own humanity, finding peace at last among those he loved. The truth at last was free, no longer hidden but shining in the light of a new day. Why hide such a secret? The answer? Control. The Soviet system thrived on the image of strength and infallibility. Admitting the loss of cosmonauts to the unknown would shatter that image. Panic, questions, and fear, unacceptable to a totalitarian state. The story of Zon 12 and Almaz was buried under concrete and secrecy. Ivan's greatest act of heroism, surviving and returning with the truth, could never be celebrated. The state gave him medals but took his voice. Understanding the politics didn't ease the guilt. The official story remained unchanged for decades. The true reason for Almaz's end was locked away in a Moscow archive. The Iron Curtain divided not just nations but truth from lies and trapped men like Ivan in the space between. Ivan Volkov's confession is more than a Cold War ghost story. It's a reminder of the human cost of ambition. In the race to the heavens, nations risked everything, including their best and bravest. The story of Zon 12 warns us about the dangers of secrecy. Ivan believed humanity had made contact with something it didn't understand. His account joins a chorus of unexplained events from space explorers worldwide. History may be incomplete, some chapters deliberately torn out. As we plan new missions, Ivan's story urges openness and honesty. The legacy of Ivan Volkov is not in medals, but in the truth he finally shared. Behind every achievement are human stories of fear, hope, and regret. We must look to the stars with humility, not just wonder. We are only beginning to explore the cosmic ocean. The secrets of the past should guide us to a more honest future, and we still have so much to learn.